Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Awu, and today I'll be speaking to you about Parkinson's Africa and how you could support the work that we do in Nigeria and in Africa. But before I start, I want to first acknowledge and thank the organizers of today's event. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Vicky, and the entire team for putting together today's event and for giving me an opportunity to speak. I also want to thank the sponsors of today's event. I'll be breaking my talk into two parts. First, I'll be sharing my story as a person living with Parkinson's disease in Nigeria and the impact Parkinson's disease has on me as a young person living with this illness. And in the second part, I'll be talking to you about Parkinson's Africa and the work that we do. Once again, my name is Rachel Awu, and I'm a Nigerian and I live in Nigeria. I work as an operations coordinator at Parkinson's Africa, a registered charity dedicated to supporting and empowering Africans impacted by Parkinson's disease. I am a person with Parkinson's disease and I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's in January 2020 at the age of 32. As an African impacted by the disease, I understand and I have experienced firsthand the heavy burden of stigma that is often associated with an illness like Parkinson's disease across different parts of Africa and the inequities in access to healthcare and treatment options across the region. My journey with Parkinson's disease started in 2011 in my final year in the university. I was about to write my final year exams when I noticed a mild tremor in my left arm. I didn't really see it as anything, so I didn't pay much attention to it. About some months later, after my first discovery of this tremor, I was at a social gathering when a friend of mine noticed the tremor on my left arm and called my attention to it. Yet again, I shoved it away. I didn't even think about it for a moment. Being in the university and having to write my final year exams meant the whole world to me. Coming from a background where not many people are able to afford education up to a university level, and here I was about to graduate, meant the whole world to me. And I didn't even have time to think about tremor. And little did I know that that was just the beginning of many more symptoms. Gradually, other symptoms began to unfold. I started to notice that I couldn't stand firm and that I was having difficulty standing for a long period of time. I had now started to feel more tired, and when I say tired, I mean extreme fatigue. I was also having great difficulty completing daily chores. I couldn't hike like I used to because I always thought that I was going to fall at every turn, of which I fell a few times. 6 years before I got my diagnosis, my symptom had started becoming more obvious, and I didn't know what was happening to me then. People could now see that my hands and legs were shaking and that I was always dragging my feet. I couldn't even handle basic chores because I was always tired, and even when I tried to force it, my whole body starts to shake, which was literally embarrassing for me. At this point, I became concerned. So I went to the hospital and I was prescribed antidepressants. The antidepressants didn't do me any good. Obviously, I was misdiagnosed. I had to deal with the symptoms I was already facing and the added side effects of taking antidepressants. Amidst all the symptoms I had to deal with, the shame that came with being shaky at a young age, the guilt I carried, because I always had this thought in my head that I must have done something wrong for this calamity to befall my body. The anxiety I felt on a daily basis, the fear of falling I had, and the lack of enthusiasm and emotion for everyday activities were the most challenging and debilitating for me. As more symptoms began to unravel themselves in my body, I began to slip into isolation. I literally went into hiding during this period of my young life. I couldn't go to gatherings or even get out of the house. Rumors even had it then that I was bewitched. Those 8 years plus before I got a proper diagnosis were the most difficult years of my entire life. Even after I got diagnosed, I couldn't start my medication, which is levodopa, because of how expensive it was. When I finally decided to start, I couldn't maintain a regular dose as prescribed by my neurologist because I couldn't afford it. So I was always skipping my dose to make the medication I had available go a long way. On this fateful day in October of 2020, I had only 5 doses left, and I didn't know where the next dose was going to come from if these 5 doses I had left finished. So I went online and searched if there were any support services available for Africans impacted by Parkinson's disease. I had actually searched for this kind of services tailored for Africans with a chronic illness a while back, but I didn't find any. I was so glad when I discovered Parkinson's Africa and its founder, Omotola Thomas. I quickly emailed her, and to my greatest surprise, she responded immediately. This was how I got a free supply of Parkinson's medication. And one thing led to another. I started working for Parkinson's Africa. Parkinson's Africa was established to support and empower Africans impacted by Parkinson's disease. As the first and only Pan African Parkinson's support charity, we believe we have a unique opportunity and responsibility to significantly impact the lives and experiences of those impacted by Parkinson's disease across Africa. Ultimately, we seek to transform the landscape of Parkinson's disease across Africa through our initiatives and programs that bring about a paradigm shift in a way the disease is perceived and managed across Africa. Our vision at Parkinson's Africa is an empowered African Parkinson's disease patient community. By empowered, we mean patients that have control over the management of their disease in daily life. Patients that have the capacity to participate in the decisions related to their condition to the extent they wish to do so. Patients that are co-managers of their condition in partnership with healthcare professionals. Patients that have developed self-confidence, self-esteem, and coping skills to manage the impact of their illness on everyday living. To achieve our vision at Parkinson's Africa, we look to transform the Parkinson's disease landscape across Africa, communities by communities, into societies where those affected by Parkinson's have access to quality healthcare services, research, support, information, and educational resources. In June this year, we partnered with the Adewumi Desalo Parkinson's Foundation, a local Parkinson's charity based in Lagos, Nigeria, to organize the first ever Parkinson's Walk in Nigeria. This walk was so impactful because we gave people living with Parkinson's a platform to be heard, to share their struggles, their victories, and every other thing they wish to talk about. And we used this shared experience to educate the public on what Parkinson's looks like and feels like, and to give them a better understanding on how to relate to people living with this disease. We also work with other local based Parkinson's organizations across Africa to run programs and campaigns for people impacted by Parkinson's. Although Parkinson's Africa is a young charity, we are ambitious and are committed to making significant impact in the lives of Africans impacted by Parkinson's disease. In the 21 months since our establishment, we've sponsored Parkinson's awareness initiatives and campaigns across Africa, specifically in Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Cameroon. We have organized Parkinson's educational campaigns and produced multilingual educational resources in several African languages. And we have facilitated access to free Parkinson's medication for 300 patients across Africa. While we are proud of what we've been able to achieve in a relatively short period of existence, we are ready to do more. We are ready to expand our services to our beneficiaries and increase our impact. But we can only achieve this through the generous support and donations from funders, supporters, the government, the public, and our donors. I would also like to share an experience I had a few days ago with you. We recently got a request from a lady who has young onset Parkinson's in Nigeria about providing her with free Parkinson's medication as she was unable to continue to buy her medication. When she finally got her free medication, she was so happy and thankful. And she specifically said that we just saved her life and gave her her movement back. So I implore you today to help give someone living with Parkinson's disease in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa their movement back through your generous donations. Thank you.